Who are you gonna call? Not the Met. Another week is here, right before Thanksgiving, and I got to see the new Ghostbusters yesterday. Let me start by saying I'm not a big fan of the Ghostbusters movies. Sorry. I'm also not a big fan of Bill Murray, and that might have something to do with it. I've just never been, I don't know, I've never really had any interest in Bill Murray. He doesn't do anything for me. I actually don't think I own any Bill Murray movie. That's saying something since I apparently own every movie that's been made. But no, I don't own any Bill Murray movies that come to my mind. Anyway, so I saw the new Ghostbusters Afterlife, and I have to admit, to someone who is not a fan of the Ghostbusters movies, I mean, I've seen them, and I even saw the reboot in 2016, directed by Paul Feig. I actually enjoyed this movie. I think it was a well done, kind of a reboot / sequel. You know, that's a new trend in Hollywood. Movie. I think it kind of gives you what you want if you're a fan of the originals, but has its own story that if they want to make a sequel with these new characters, they could. I would be happy to see a sequel. So let's get started. Positives. McKenna Grace plays the main character, Phoebe. He has her brother, played by Finn Wolfhard. They moved into this old house that was once Phoebe's grandfather's house. I think Ivan Spankler. Like I said, I'm not a huge Ghostbusters knowledge person, so. And McKenna Grace is excellent in this movie. She is smart, she's funny, she great chemistry with Paul Rudd. Her scene with one of her new characters she meets, named Podcast. They have great chemistry. McKenna Grace is becoming that next big actress that in a few years she's going to be the talk of every movie. I mean, she's already has a great filmography from, she did that movie with Chris Evans a few years ago. She's been on The Handmaid's Tale. She's been in Captain Marvel playing the young Carol Danvers. She was in Annabelle Comes Home playing the Warren's daughter. And now she's in Ghostbusters. And like I said, they make a sequel to this. This could be her own franchise. So McKenna Grace steals the movie. I mean, the movie is so much on her shoulders for only a 15-year-old that she really does an excellent job. Paul Rudd, I mean, come on, the sexiest man alive. I don't think anyone would have thought that back in the early 90s with Get a Clue. What, is it Get a Clue? Clueless. Get a Clue with Lindsay Lohan in the 2000s. Clueless with Alicia Silverstone, when Paul Rudd was in that. That was one of his first movies, I think right after the Halloween Return of Michael Myers, or Halloween 6, whatever it was. Yeah, who knew that Paul Rudd would become like one of the biggest actors in Hollywood today. And here he plays a science teacher during teaching a summer school class. He ends up really bonding with McKenna Grace's character over science. And then he hooks up with McKenna Grace's mom, played by Carrie Coon. I like Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd is one of those guys that he just shows up on screen and you like him already. I mean, like that when he was announced as Ant-Man, people were like, they got Paul Rudd to play Ant-Man? What the? But he was actually really good as Scott Lang. And then even like in Avengers Endgame where he has some emotional scenes, he's very good. Or in The Perks of Being a Wallflower, when he was also a teacher in that movie, once again, very good. Paul Rudd is really one of those actors that can do, yeah, he's known for comedy, but when he needs to bring on the dramatic chops, he's excellent. And here, once again, he is just one of those guys that he can be funny, he can be dramatic, he can be charming, he can even play like a doofus sometimes, and he works. It all works to his. And to realize that this guy's over 50 years old, he doesn't look anywhere near 50. Anywhere near. So again, Paul Rudd has another winner. And like I said, if they make a sequel to this, I would love to see Paul Rudd be one of the new Ghostbusters. Character driven. This movie is very character driven. And I like that. Not that, I think that's the thing that people are going to be annoyed with this movie. There's not much action, or even ghosts in the title, Ghostbusters. There's really not that many ghosts either. This is a character-driven story. And mainly my McKenna Grace's character. And I like that. I mean, my thing is, when I was a kid, action, oh, I love action. But as a older person now, and a filmmaker, and who has, written in those screenplays, where I had a limited amount of time to tell a story with a plot and character, beats, moments throughout the film, or as we call it, character arc. It's hard. Not only that, but, that's what I look for in a movie. I want to see a character arc, right? Yes, action is great. When you got a great action movie, it works. But guess what? The action should be second to the character moment. The character arc should be, as they say sometimes in hero movies, the character's journey. And this is very much a character-driven film. It's dramatic, it's sad at times, it's fun at times, but the core is that character focus. And that goes to the director, which I'll get into very soon. I also like how they use CGI and practical effects. If you go back to the original Ghostbusters, it's pretty much all practical effects. Or the CGI back then was didn't look good, but the practical animatronics of like the, I don't know what you call them, the ghost dogs or whatever, they brought those back in here. And guess what? They have scenes where they're practical, animatronic, and they look great. And then of course you got the CGI with some of the ghosts. What I like the mixture is like blending the old, like the original films, with now today's CGI. But it was a nice blend. Pacing this movie's over 2 hours, and I thought there was not that much action in the movie. And like I think it's because you get invested in the characters that you're just following their story all the way through. And that's great. That's what you want. You want to watch a movie, and before you know it, the movie's over, and you go, where did those 2 hours go? And I think the pacing works. This is also does have some humor. I know when you get someone like a Paul Rudd in here Plus to lighten the mood with the kids. You gotta have some humor in there. It works. Now getting into Jason Reitman. Jason Reitman is the director. Ivan Reitman directed the first two original Ghostbusters movies. Jason Reitman is his son. Ivan Reitman's son is Jason Reitman, just so you all get what I'm saying here. But Jason Reitman isn't known for action movies. This is the guy who did Juno. This is the guy who did Up in the Air. This is the guy who did Young Adult. This is the guy who did The Front Runner. This is the guy who did Tully a couple years ago. He does dramas. Character-driven dramas. This is his first, this is his first blockbuster movie. Because if you really look at all his other films, they're more independent films. So, I like that. Like, I think it's interesting to have a son follow in the footsteps of the father and be one of the best filmmakers in Hollywood today. But then to say, I'm going to take a property that you did, but now you're too old or you're retired, and I'm going to make a Ghostbusters movie and still put in my flavor, but still not forget what you did with the originals. And even though this is there must be a passing of the torch from father to son, I actually saw more of Steven Spielberg, by the way. If you don't know who Spielberg is, I don't know why you're watching the show. I saw a lot more of Spielberg, what's the word channeling more of Spielberg, or, making more of a Spielberg movie than an Ivan Reitman movie. I mean, I felt like the late 70s, early 80s Spielberg was like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., you got even some lens flare in here. You got some shots of like the mist, someone going outside the backyard, shining a light, mist coming through, very E.T. feel to it, which is fine. Because once again, Jason Reitman was growing up, just like his father who was making the Ghostbusters movies in the early 80s. Well, that's when Spielberg was doing his thing with Close Encounters, E.T., Indiana Jones, I mean, Spielberg has influenced most of the filmmakers, if not all, who are currently working today anyhow. So, and I think like Jason Reitman really did a great job of giving us something new. And that's the other thing. I like how this movie, even though it's a reboot sequel, this feels like its own thing until the last 5 minutes. And I'll get to that. So yeah, those are my positives. My negatives. I feel like the finale, the main battle between villain and good guys, felt a little rushed. By the time we actually see the main antagonist, I feel like that character was on screen, and then before I knew it, they were off screen. It felt very boom, 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 done. Oh, okay. Actually, I do like the actress they got to play the role. It hasn't been actually come out. It hasn't come out like in the news or in any articles online. But as soon as the actress came on screen, I was like, I know her. Cool. And then there's another actor who's worked with Jason Reitman in a lot of his movies, from Juno, I think maybe Up in the Air, and I know of 1 or 2 other movies. I won't spoil who that actor is, but also cool to see him. So yeah, I felt like the finale was rushed. And then this is it. The next negative is a minor spoiler. So if you don't want to hear it, even though I think it's pretty easy, I think you already know it. It's like the worst, best kept secret, kind of like the new Spider-Man movie, having Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, but hasn't been officially confirmed yet. So, spoiler, the original Ghostbusters, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Ernie Hudson return. The only problem is, they literally show up in the last 5 minutes of the movie. Maybe 7 minutes. We'll give them 7. They just show up, help defeat the bad guy, and the movie ends. And I'm like, I liked how this movie was its own thing, but still having like YouTube videos of the original Ghostbusters, of McKenna Grace learning about her grandfather. Because that's what people would do today. And there were videos out there of their grandparent as a Ghostbuster. They would go on YouTube and watch the videos. So now I thought that was kind of a nice, harkening back to the originals, but still telling their own story. So then when, the 3 original Ghostbusters show up at the end, yes, I know there's 4, but the main actor has died. And there's a whole reason for that in the movie, of how it comes into the movie, but like I said, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, and Ernie Hudson show up. And I don't know, as soon as they came on screen, first of all, nobody in the theater cheered. Nobody was like, yeah! Like everyone's hoping to do when Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield show up in Spider-Man. But there was none of that. And it was almost like they just came to do it out of respect to not only the actor who passed away, Harold Ramis, who was the 4th Ghostbuster, but in respect to Jason Reitman, who, like I said, the dad, Ivan Reitman, directed the first 2 Ghostbusters. So it was almost like an obligation more than, oh, I really want to come back and do it. Because when they're on screen, they look like they don't want to be there. I mean, you're like, let's go through the lines. Okay, say your lines. Okay, bring that little machine and get the Ghostbuster. Okay. And then that's it. So it wasn't really, I would have rather them not been in the movie or have a bigger role in the movie than just be there for 5 minutes and that's it. Which I'll have to admit, it just went through my mind when they came on screen. When I saw them come on screen and they were only on screen for like 5 minutes, I said, oh dear Lord. This is the same studio doing the Spider-Man No Way Home, where we're supposed to see Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and of course our current Spider-Man, Tom Holland, all 3 of them on screen together. Hopefully. Like I said, the worst, best kept secret. I'm like, this is also a Sony movie, just like Spider-Man. I really hope this is not the foreshadowing of what we're going to see in Spider-Man No Way Home. Oh yeah, you'll get Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, but they'll literally be in the movie for 5 minutes in that final battle, and that's it. And I'll say, I'll be disappointed. Now, I don't need to see Tobey Maguire in all the movie, but if he's only in like 5 minutes of the movie, and just in that fight at the end, I'm going to be like, really? Okay. But that's my negatives. Like even the finale felt rushed, and bringing back the original 3 cheered when they even came on screen, which was really disappointing. So overall, I was pleasantly surprised by this movie. It was better than I expected it to be. So I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5. And like I said, if they make a sequel, I'll be happy. So we'll see what happens with Matt the Matt here. I'm going to have a few more videos up. So stay tuned.